Got it. I think I'm live here at Real Fridays. Oh, good deal, Brock. So I'm well, everyone who's going to be watching this and logging in. I'm Dr. Rick Rock and Brock Cassidy, and we're soon to be joined, I'm sure a few minutes late, is going to be Jeremy Potter. I'm actually at the airport in a connection flying back from corporate. And so I have I'm using my phone as a way of connecting in, and using my laptop as a way of sort of navigating anything we want to navigate here on this Real Friday. So one of the things I wanted to check in with you, number one, have you been traveling much this week, Brock? I have a few things to actually highlight. I don't know if you saw my post on LinkedIn, but I wanted to kind of dissect it because it has a lot to do with technology and inefficiency. But I wanted to get a little bit from you about this week and how things were. I mean, what a crazy week with the election, and of course the rates being reduced by a quarter, 25 basis points.
Yeah. No, I haven't been on the road this week. Been the only week I'm not on the road for a while. I think the last 2 or 3 I was on the road. The next 2 I'm on the road. I'm heading on early Monday morning out to Charlotte for the Lending Tree Summit, as well as double dipping and seeing some of our partners that have offices out in the Charlotte area, of which there are a couple. New Res, Cardinal, to name a few of our longstanding partners, and then some other new opportunities. So next week's a really busy week. We're bringing a couple people from our team out there. So that will be busy. Launched a new partner this morning, so I've been underwater and have not seen your LinkedIn posts. So I'm curious what you have to say and your take on the week. I think I've been kind of had my blinders on a little bit this week. The business has been really busy, but yeah, obviously election, rate cuts, all kinds of news. Lots of real estate and mortgage company or mostly real estate earnings have come out this week as well. So no shortage of like macro news.
So when you say the real estate earnings, what do you mean?
Like Zillow announced
their
earnings, for example, this week, and a few other real estate, prop tech type companies as well, I believe.
Yeah, and what was it, Open Door that acquired the mortgage brokerage firm? Or what company was that did that?
That acquired a mortgage brokerage firm?
Yeah,
that was NerdWallet.
Yeah, NerdWallet. Yeah. I mean, that obviously when that first, I came to know that about 2 months ago. I met the CEO of the mortgage company that was acquired, and he had said that sort of confidentially at the time, and it made perfect sense to me, as far as what NerdWallet is doing. I mean, it's such a counterintuitive. I'm going to read the tea leaves. I'm going to cannibalize my historic revenue channels, but I'm going to boldly do it. I'm going to do it where the reality is companies need companies like NerdWallet. Mortgage companies do. It's almost like Zillow. You can't afford not to do business with Zillow. So even if Zillow is a competitor, you still can't afford not to pay attention to the real estate activity on the platform. You're not going to boycott Zillow. What are you going to go to Redfin or some other platform that is not nearly as dominant as Zillow is? I mean, it'd be stupid. So I mean, it is kind of interesting. Again, it just gets down to the technology integration, right? Of how you have these converging factors between the lead, the consumer, the realtor, and the loan officer, all just combining into one process flow is where it starts, and then it ends with being one singular transaction under one roof, under one platform. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and it's definitely, we're seeing, Zillow has gotten a lot of flack from the mortgage industry, in my opinion, fairly well deserved historically, but they have grown their mortgage business a lot this year, so we can recognize that as well. We give them credit where it's due. I think it grew around 70% this quarter versus the same quarter last year. So in terms of purchase mortgage, which is I think more or less all it is.
It is really interesting though, because in a market like now where refinances are largely dead, right? I mean, there's still some percent of refinances, but for the most part, it's a purchase-driven market. Like 2023 was, 2024 was, and like the market's being asphyxiated because of inventory shortages, and so companies like NerdWallet or like Zillow are going to be really, really competitively advantageous. And you've seen it like in the last 12 months. I mean, the production to scale the way they have, not only do they have the resources to do it, but they have the business and the opportunity and the visibility to the business to do it. So it's a brilliant play. Like when Spencer did it, everyone thought he was nuts. He thought he was ruining Zillow, and he knew exactly what he was doing.
I looked up the exact number. So it was 63% growth in their mortgage overall and 80% year over year in purchase. So, really, really meaningful. Hey, Potter, we were just chatting about a little bit about the macro situation, and I was mentioning Zillow released some pretty interesting earnings this week. So that was one thing I was looking at.
Well,
how are you?
Yeah, it's mainly the 25 basis point rate cut. Jeremy, that we were just talking about, like whether or not that's going to have a stimulative effect. And of course, there was a number of headliners this week, obviously separate from the election, but having Zillow's numbers that came out, NerdWallet's acquisition of a mortgage company, which came no surprise to me. But I'm curious, as we look at technology, what makes an efficient mortgage company? Right, is really in my view, the question of the day, right?
It's a good question. I mean, I've been, I've been persuaded that it's all about overhead cost of people, and whether a lot of people in our industry put the focus on sales because of commissions. The reality is, it's like, how many people do you need to do how many units? I mean, that's it, right? And what makes an efficient mortgage company is the ability to run all of the tasks, jobs, data verifications that need to happen with the fewest number of touches. I don't know. That's, again, that's a working theory in real time, but over the last 18 months, that's what I keep hearing over and over again.
I literally couldn't agree with you more. And I don't know if you saw my post this morning. Brock said he hadn't, which offended me slightly. But I wondered if
can't all be full-time LinkedIn influencers.
Well, actually, just to do a kind of a little bit of a survey, have you seen it, Jeremy? You may not have.
I will tell you this, because of the power of technology in the palm of my hand, I'm just going to look at it right now. I'm just looking at it as we speak, because you can do that. So now I can say, yes, I've seen it.
Yeah. So basically, I asked the question. I go through just a really crude, rudimentary efficiency metric, right?
I saw this. This was like propping out NFM.
Not entirely. That wasn't the intent going into it. Like I was just looking at industry numbers about 3 a.m. this morning, and I was saying to myself, what's the production? Yeah, me and Michael.
Yeah, but you woke up at 3.
Kelleher.
You were still up at 3.
Yeah. But it led me to conclude that an efficient mortgage company really has nothing to do with the loan officer. In fact, good technology is just going to mask the deficiencies of a loan officer. Good technology is going to take, because all the top mortgage companies, with the exception of Guaranteed Rate and NFM, have an overabundance of loan officers, right? So it's not the fact that they're hiring, like cross country's hiring like top loan officers, of course, but given the volume of loan officers in ratio or in proportion to their production, they are oversaturated with loan officers given the production that they have, right? But they wouldn't have the production they have if they didn't have the number of loan officers that they have. So that's
a great dynamic. If you're right.
So it's almost like, who cares about recruiting like the top loan officer? Just have the top tech. If you have the top tech, you'll get the loan officer to be good enough.
If you're looking to make that individual efficient, if you're looking to make that individual you're talking about more efficient, more effective, but wouldn't the more prudent, if you're talking about pure cost, pure revenue, wouldn't the more prudent move would be to funnel as many of those leads up to your top producing loan officers? So the consolidation that we've been told is coming has always been that a bunch of small and mid-sized mortgage companies are going to go away. However, it could be that 40% of low producing loan officers at every company go away. And that's actually the consolidation, meaning these leads coming into these middle or lower tier loan officers that you're talking about, wouldn't the prudent thing to do, the efficient thing to do, would be to get them to your highest producing team as fast as possible? So then you kind of like consume that referral source or that lead source, whether that's through technology or not. And then you're doing the same amount of leads with a third less loan officers because you just make the bigger.
I think that works. I mean, obviously that works academically, right? And I think if there was a perfect solution that would, because you have to free up. There's two sides to that challenge. That top producing loan officer has to free up their time. There has to be enough technology-enabled resources to handle the volume that he has, to avail him the opportunity of new leads and a lot of loan officers that are doing 2-3 million a month couldn't fathom doing 5 or 6 million a month because the technology that the company offers them is not efficient enough, where they get so overburdened with tasks and follow-ups and all the things associated to servicing, 8, 10, 12, 14 units a month, right? So you have almost the challenge with that is you have to solve both problems. You got to solve the problem of getting them the lead, so that the top producing loan officer gets the lead, which is probably the easiest problem to solve. But then the other side of it is once they have, if a top producing loan officer has 20, 25 leads or 20, 25 loans or 30 loans, if they don't have a lot of people around them, they're going to fail, right? Because there really isn't too many solutions out there to help that top producing loan officer outside of throwing bodies at the solution.
I guess what I'm trying to do is because loan officer productivity is not my strong suit, I'm trying to channel what I do know. And the one that I keep coming back to in my mind is kind of the Gary V model of there's all these people out here working on their weaknesses, trying to take their weaknesses and just make them a little less problematic, when what you really should be doing is leaning into your strengths, because that's what's going to carry you anyway. So focus on your strengths and just maximize your strengths. And so what I'm trying to say is, if you have a high producing team who needs a few more loan officer assistants or a few more processors versus a whole infrastructure of what you were saying, which is 2,800 loan officers, I don't know. I'm just trying to do the math and be lean into your strengths. If 30% of your staff's doing 80% of the loans, get them the leads and get them the efficiency. I don't know if that's true, by the way.
Well, no, I think by the math
out there in your post, it looks like it could be true.
Yeah, but by the math, I think it is true. What's hard is, here's a real life example. I know a loan officer that does about $3 million a month in Connecticut, right? Our New England, our home region, right? I.e., Brock as well. And she's pulling her hair out, right? Because the more volume she does, the more she gets punished. The harder her life is. The more phone calls she gets, the more follow-up she has, the more customer engagement she has, the more documents and paper trails she has. So her solution is going to be adding other LOAs. So you're adding cost. This person, that person, this person at $18 an hour, this person at $20 an hour, this person at $4,000 a month, and then all of a sudden your cost. So it becomes this ebb and a flow, right? You start squeezing yourself from an efficiency standpoint, and then you take a hit on a profitability standpoint because you're adding a bunch of cost until you double your volume at 5 or 6 or 7 million a month, and then all of a sudden you're making up for those cost investments. That's the challenge. Companies don't have a solution. You have an LOS, which is a data in. It's a data in solution. So it's just a hole that you dig dirt into and you put into the hole, right? There's nothing proactive about loan origination solutions today. POS solutions are data in, right? Consumers has to provide data into it in order to provide a useful utility from it, right? There's nothing proactive about these solutions to actually offload, to actually produce the efficiency that that's needed to accomplish what you're saying.
Brock, this is like something I need your like distance from the business perspective. So if you were a tech investor, or if you were looking at, let's say, buying something, what Rick just said is still confounding to me, because I think he's exactly right. But I think that this is why I've been so confused as to like why CRMs persist when POS exists, why POS persists when LOS exists. But what Rick just said sounds like the core reason why we have these three technologies and we have 7 different options in each bucket. In CRM, it's even more. And yet everybody still needs all of them, and they're still failing the loan officer. Like, to me, like, this is either a failure of technology, a failure of founders, or like, what am I missing? Because like, from your perspective, what are you hearing? This should be like, we're still not serving the loan officer after all this money, all these attempts, all these different vendors at MBA Annual. Like, we're still failing. This is insane.
I'm going to start with a non-answer before my actual answer.
Great.
My non-answer is that it's even worse, much worse in real estate. There's more.
Oh, great.
The amount of real estate CRMs continues to be out of control. It was like, it's been a running joke, since I was shopping for a CRM in the early days of a special project at Rocket, let's say in 2015, 2014, something like that. And it's like, wait, why are there 40 CRM options that all do the same thing in real estate? In mortgage, at least it's 7, right? Maybe it's 10. I think we've probably integrated with 10, but we see a lot of vanilla CRMs in mortgage even. We've integrated with Salesforce and Microsoft Dynamics recently at NewZip, which is surprising given the amount of mortgage specific CRMs, so now the actual answer, in my opinion, is that people are shopping for, it's the age-old thing. People are shopping for a painkiller. They're looking for one particular thing, and so then they buy a CRM for one reason, for one role, and then the LOS may not be for the loan officer so much as it is for other roles. The POS is probably the loan officer, and every company cuts the roles a little bit differently. Obviously, at Rocket, which is the one I've seen the most intimately, the roles were cut about 100 different ways because of their scale. So I might be biased, but I just think they're all serving different masters. I think there's different systems.
That's such a good question. That's such a good point.
If you're just trying to make a loan officer happy, give them a better CRM and marketing materials and phone integrations and stuff. But then there's so many other things going on inside a lender, and maybe it's the LOA that uses it. At NewZip, we've probably integrated with, like I said, probably more than 10 CRMs, but also often with a POS. Occasionally, we've integrated directly with Encompass before for a partner, which seemed crazy to me, but more power to them. They got it done. So yeah, it's kind of my team is a lot of people from our product team are a lot of people from the tech startup world that aren't from mortgage. And they asked me that question. They're like, how many more different CRMs are we going to see? How many more different places are we going to have to integrate with? I'm like, does the limit exist? I think everyone has a different basket of technology.
Hey, Jeremy, my point about whether or not, and I'll say something provocative, right? Especially from a retail executive standpoint. Does the LO even matter? Does the LO matter? Right? I don't think, let me follow up with the premise of the question, and then you can respond.
Sure. Yeah.
Rocket is not known for hiring the best and the brightest for mortgage loan officers, mortgage bankers, right? They hire people off the street and they teach them products. They teach them this is what we do with them as an organization. But I wouldn't consider the people they hire real bankers, right? They're manufacturing.
Yeah, they're the
in
best
as much
and
as
the brightest
people on the line.
Something. They're the best and the brightest at something. They're just not licensed as loan officers.
Well, correct. I apologize. Yeah, and I'm not disparaging them in as much as I am creating contracts between like what a technician is versus an engineer, right? An assembly line worker versus an engineer, right? But Rocket's differentiator has been technology, and as a result, their technology has been what has made up for any deficiencies they've had in the sales force. Fight me.
Yeah, I like. Well, I'm not. I won't necessarily fight you. I think you're.
It's like fighting.
I think I'm going to channel my inner Malcolm Gladwell, which
Nice.
is when you talk to people outside of Rocket in this industry, they seem to rely on the assumption as truth that Rocket's marketing budget and brand spend spread out across the head count is the same as the commission paid to a retail loan officer through the branch structure. That is the core assumption, I think, of a lot of retail IMBs. They're like, well, they're spending $1 billion a year in marketing, or they're spending $1 billion a year, but you have to spread that across 3,800 bankers on the call center floor. And when you do that, it's basically the same as paying 200 basis points to my biggest producers anyway. So it's all a wash, and we're still competing on a level playing field or for the same leads. And I actually think that what I'm saying is that can't possibly be true. That assumption has to be challenged or false, to your point, Rick, because when I left Rocket, the company was public in part and sitting on about $9 billion in cash. That $9 billion in cash is the that's the difference. That's the margin of efficiency between their model, even at spending $900 million a year on marketing, that still resulted in a greater war chest across headcount, efficiency, technology, compliance, all the other things. So my hunch would be it is different. It is more efficient. Your question then becomes who's more replaceable if you really have to cut costs? Can you replace a call center banker easier, faster with technology than a retail banker? Or is it both the same? And I don't know the answer to that, but I think that the vast majority of retail IMBs that are on your list in your post and that we talk to do not have a customer acquisition plan outside of ALL. And so that's the ball game, you know.
Well, what I was going to do was just highlight. Let's see, where is it? Okay, here we go. So it's interesting when I do posts like this because I get a fairly strong response rate from I have probably, I don't know, 12,000. I posted this a couple hours ago. I got 12,000 impressions, which is a fairly high take rate for me.
I'll give you one more. I'm going to pull Jeremy and pull it up right now as well.
But when I look at this, like, there's almost no question, in my view. Well, people will say, like, Cross Country is the best mortgage company in the country. And in a lot of ways, I've said that myself many, many times. The question is, what do they mean by it? What makes them great? What's great about them, right? And they've done a remarkable job in financial leadership in a lot of ways. We can slice that. We've sliced that onion in so many different ways, right? And yet it almost doesn't matter how many loan officers they have. They have 4,200 loan officers, 4,300 or so, I think is the last count. But as far as this is what's most recent in the MLS, at 34 billion so far year to date. It's such a staggering question because it's almost as if the number of loan officers are irrelevant. I mean, it's obviously relevant by first scale, but hiring top producing, efficient, superhero loan officers are really not as important as everyone makes them to be. Like
now
versus good process,
really
good financial leadership, and so on.
Now you're really talking the like team, like you said, the team, the infrastructure, the system. Like not to get into sports, but like, the Lions did not go out and get superstars. The Lions went out and got role players who all fit together in the right way, in the way they wanted to do business. And now they are seeing that pay off. So I think there is a version of celebrity that works, particularly to lower your customer acquisition cost a bit, because celebrity loan officers can attract celebrity real estate agents or other types of things. But the reality you're saying, I think the point you're making is you put the team together the right way, you don't get enough boost from the really expensive celebrity LO versus putting the right grinder in the right system and letting them go. I get a sense that's kind of where you're headed with this.
Yeah.
when we had KP on here a while back, 4 or 5 months ago, he made that exact point. He's like, my marketing budget, I either have a $0 marketing budget or my payroll is my marketing budget, depending on how you guys want to cut it, right? Everyone hires their own marketing. That's because that's who I hire at PRMG. So that's a model that's just like maybe the exact opposite of Rocket's. Rocket hires a lot of junior loan officers who've never worked in the business before, puts them through the longest, puts them through, I don't know if it's the longest, but puts them through a very long licensing, training, all this stuff. And that's how they have 5,000, 4,000, whatever the number was the day you left, Jeremy, loan officers over there. And I don't know what the number is today, less than that probably, but those are two extremes. And I think in the influencer division that you guys have at NFM is another twist on that, where it's loan officers that come fully baked, where you can value them as a marketing engine as well.
Yeah. I mean, Jeremy, what's interesting is if you look at the number of LOs, it's like you could have 2,000 LOs and do 10 billion, or 2,000 LOs and do 22 billion. Like, are they just recruiting better LOs, or do they just have a better technology stack that's actually churning out like better results?
Well, it sounds like that's one of the reasons. I just went through the comments on your post a little bit. It seems like that's what everybody's responding to. Is like, great point. Let's get to the bottom of that question. Is that the correlation that you're looking for, and is that the right conclusion to come to? It seems like at first glance, yes. Dig a little deeper,
And doesn't AI planarize? Doesn't AI planarize like LO performance? Doesn't it elevate LO performance by perfecting it, right? So you can have a totally poor LO and make them look way better because AI is making it happen.
I think so. The way I've been looking at technology and AI included is, what do we delegate? What can we get off of our plate as humans to delegate it to technology to do more? That's true of any technology, but particularly AI. What do I delegate? What do I delegate? What do I delegate? It doesn't replace you. It elevates you. I think that's what we've been saying all year on here. I just think that it requires a little bit more dialing in than we've seen. But yes, that's where we're headed. We're headed to delegate to technology, elevate the human. So, hey, I'm on Detroit saving time here. I got to go. This was great. Letting me jump in and going with that post was a good call.
Dude, it's your show too. It's your show too.
All right, man.
You can run, but not hide.
Who's hiding? I'm just running. I'm just always running. All right, man. Talk to you guys soon. Bye.
Take care. My thought actually, Brock, to this was that with better use of technology, a solution like NewsZip can help close that gap, right? Because it makes it easier, faster, better for I think I lost internet.
No, I can hear you.
Oh, easier. It makes it easier, faster, better to actually to really captivate leads and to harness them and to close them.
Yeah, I mean, in a lot of ways, it's always interesting to hear how different people think about the what's in it for me when you're having a partnership discussion. But I've had lending executives kind of speak about why they are interested in NewsZip or why they partnered with NewsZip, depending on what level they're at. And I've basically said, we want our purchase business to be more like our refi business, where we have good reporting, we have forecasting, we have other tools that help our LOs, and and there's a process that we has a lot of touch points and has a lot of outreach and all these things, where it's like refi is like a very clear path, and then purchase is a very unclear path. And so, that's that. I found that really interesting. I've had a couple different lending execs mortgage execs say different versions of that, where it's like, we're partnering with NewsZip so that we can make better sense of our purchase program and have better rails on our purchase program and things like that. So in addition to the agent matching that we do, and is our core monetization, you can get agent matching a lot of places. You can go to homelight.com, you can go to Zillow, you can get an agent. So we're trying to do everything you said and bring that automation on behalf of loan officers, that nurturing on behalf of loan officers, coherent branding, coherent cost savings, and products, all of which fits right into the conversation. So I'm glad that in your ether, that's how you think about NewsUp as well.
No, I genuinely do. I mean, irrespective of our relationship and stuff, thank you so much, bro. I genuinely do. I think that's why you guys are really onto something. I'm curious as to how you continue to expand that connection to continue to bring the loan officer, consumer, and the mortgage company or the realtor like closer, and closer. But I think what you guys are doing is really smart.
Where are you? Yeah. No,
and Audie would be completely lost without you. I mean, that was the script you had me read, right?
Yeah. Oh yeah. Just remind him of that. No, it's nice. He has all the real estate background, and then I can bring more of the mortgage industry side. But yeah, it's been fun. It was good seeing so many people at MBA last week. We're doing a sponsorship for Lending Tree Summit, as well as, like I said, some other on-site meetings next week. So busy. The fall's always, this time of year is always busy in the business. In my side of the bit, and I'm sure yours too, like business development wise.
Yeah.
It's not always.
Well, this is crunch time because everyone's preparing for winter. I mean,
yeah. From
a mortgage origination standpoint, it's an 18-19 day month in November, 18-19 day in December. So it's kind of a, start hiding nuts in the hive, because it's going to be a cold winter type thing,
Yeah, I have my first call scheduled for January, where I was like, when are you free? Okay, next time I'm free is January. And it's someone that we're like actively working with, and it's like not even like pushing us off. It was just like we're now at that point in the year where we are hitting the holidays.
Dude, I know. But good. Well, we'll look forward to let's follow up again, man. This is good stuff. This was a good Fridays.
Yeah. We'll see you on the road soon, I'm sure.
All right. Take care, man.
Talk to you later.